Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The protests following the suspected falsifying of the result of the Belarusian presidential election by President Alexander Lukashenka and the subsequent brutal repressive measures taken against thousands of demonstrators are growing even stronger. The largest businesses in Belarus, including Belarusian public television, have joined the protest. Today, President Lukashenko said that there will be no repetition of the election, although the presidential candidate, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who is considered the true winner of the election by the protesters, expressed her willingness to take over the leader's position and appealed for the election to be rerun.
Alexander Lukashenko's main rival in last week's Belarusian presidential election, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, has posted a video in which she said that she is ready to take responsibility for her nation. I am ready to take responsibility and be the leader of the nation in order to stabilize the country, help Belarus to go back to normality, release political prisoners and establish the legal framework needed to hold the fair and clear second round of the presidential election, which will be accepted by the international community. In her video, Tikhanovskaya asked the police to join the nationwide movement fighting for freedom and democracy of Belarus. I would like to say a few words to the people in uniforms. Belarusians don't accept violence. They are generous and honest. If you decide not to listen to your illegal orders, they will forgive you, they will support you, and they won't blame you for anything in the future. Protests against the regime of President Alexander Lukashenko were held last weekend in many Belarusian cities. The largest demonstration took place on Sunday in Minsk, with the participation of over 100,000 people. The protesters are demanding the rerun of the elections and Lukashenko's resignation. However, Lukashenko said he will not crack under pressure, and unless he is dead, there will be no repetition of the election. Do you want reforms? Tell me what reforms and we will implement them tomorrow. Do you want money falling from helicopters? You, over 50,000 people, know that money doesn't fall from the sky. You have to earn it every day. During a meeting with the employees of the MZKT company, Lukashenko said that he is ready to pass half his authority through the changes in the constitution, but he will not do it under pressure from the protesters. The employees of the company booed him. The president of the European Council, Charles Michel, called a special sitting of the European Council to discuss the crisis in Belarus. I will call a meeting of the members of the European Council on Wednesday at noon in order to discuss the situation in Belarus. Belarusian citizens have the right to decide on their future and choose their own leader. Violence against the protesters is unacceptable and cannot be permitted. Protests in Belarus began on August 9th following the victory of President Alexander Lukashenko, who has been the president of Belarus for 26 years now. He won 80% of the votes, while his main rival received only 10% of the votes. According to the Belarusian opposition, the elections were falsified.
A political storm has broken following the adoption of a bill increasing the salaries for members of parliament and top state officials. The opposition, which voted with the majority in favour of the bill, now argues that this was a mistake. Today the bill was before committees of the Senate.
The draft, which was proposed by the Regulation Committee and was supported by all the clubs, and which is now before the Senate, regulates in a systematic way the remuneration of local government officials and most important people in the state. It creates a transparent system where the three Polish authorities, the legislature, the executive and the judiciary, are to receive equal compensation. Throughout the weekend, I have consulted people who expressed negative opinions. I listened to them, I have spoken with other leaders of the opposition parties, and today I will be recommending the Civic Coalition senators to accept the motion to reject this bill in its entirety.
Koalicji Obywatelskiej poddam pod dyskusję projekt
I would like to discuss a draft which I will present to political leaders in the Sejm in order to appoint a parliamentary team consisting of several senators, several MPs. This team would then develop a comprehensive program of salary regulation, which ultimately would be as transparent as in the repeatedly mentioned Sejm of the Second Republic.
Szeroko pojmowanej sferze budżetowej.
Jeśli Polakom żyje się gorzej, jeśli jest recesja.
In times when the quality of Poles' lives is going down, when there is a recession, a crisis and rising unemployment, such salary increases are simply absurd. It does not matter that there have been no salary increases in the past 20 years. Such a move destroys the country from a social standpoint. Poles view their own challenges and struggles as not being taken seriously.
Poważnie debatę, opinię publiczną.
Janusz Cieszyński, Deputy Minister of Health, announced his resignation today. He announced the decision on social media. The Deputy Minister was responsible, among other matters, for purchasing policy within the Ministry of Health.
Today is the final day of my 944 days working in the Ministry of Health. I've postponed this decision several times, but that only made it all the more thought through. The ministry has changed a lot during my time in office. It is not only much less paper-ridden, but it is also overall a better work environment. This is certainly one of the most crucial ministries, and all those who work for us deserve what's best.
The Ministry of Health has confirmed 595 new cases of coronavirus infection and 8 more deaths caused by COVID-19. According to the Ministry of Health, weddings are one of the main causes of outbreaks of the epidemic. However, representatives of the wedding industry do not agree with this assessment. A spokesman for the Ministry of Health, Wojciech Andrusiewicz, spoke about their objections.
Sanitary rules are being observed at most weddings held in our country. We simply condemn those cases in which these rules are not observed. We see it in reports after the outbreaks. Every day we get reports showing data about which parts of the country are affected. These outbreaks often appear during weddings. This is not limited to a specific area of Poland. We had the example of Biała Podlaska, where because of one wedding, the whole city was put under the yellow zone restrictions. It's not that there is any kind of anti-wedding industry campaign, but we see that in places where sanitary rules are not observed, problems seem to appear. It's hard not to talk about infections at weddings if there are 100 infected and 600 people in quarantine just from that one wedding. It is difficult to ignore such a fact and not to notice it. We want to respect people. That's why we don't say, don't organize weddings. Instead, we tell people to obey sanitary rules. As some of us have seen, 4 celebrations may take place in one wedding venue at the same time. This is irresponsible behavior.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.